My name is Kristen, and I'm here to present two wonderful speakers. I'm from Oohlala Mobile, and we're going to be presenting on a really fun topic today, how to get 93% student response rates. The two institutions that are going to be presenting today is Rutgers University and Youngstown State University. I see some friendly faces in the audience. Thank you for coming, and some new faces. I'm really looking forward to getting to know all of you today. Our first presenter is Allison, and our second presenter is Becky. But before we begin, I'd like to just do a quick audience poll. A raise of hands, how many of you currently assess services or events? Wonderful, most of the people in the room. And then with a raise of hands in 3 sections, so how many of you have between 0 and 30% response rates? Okay, between 30 and 60%, and then 60% or more. Okay, so this is going to be a very fun topic. And
Great.
I'll present the first speaker, Allison from Rutgers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristen.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for coming. We're really excited to be here with our partner, Oohlala, and hopefully you'll get something out of what we're going to be talking about. So I work at Rutgers University Camden, and we're a research institution located in southern New Jersey, directly across the bridge from Philadelphia. So I'm very fortunate enough to see Independence Hall from my office window. It's one of those perks after being there for 20 some years. But we struggle because of being in an urban community. We're about 90% commuter population, and so our students are coming and going. Up until recently, we've had a very transfer-heavy student body, so a lot of our students would come from community colleges and finish up at our institution. That has changed dramatically over the last couple years with our change in enrollment strategies, and we're now looking at a predominantly first-year, more traditional first-year student base. So a lot of things that we've done on our campus for a long time are not necessarily working anymore, and we needed to sort of engage differently. Blah, 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 this is me. I'm happy to be here. I love NASMA, and I'm really glad to be able to connect with all of you. A couple of our institutional goals, like I just said about that changing of the enrollment, but also our first-rate undergraduate education grounded in research. So we are a research institution. We're part of the AAU. There's a lot of dramatic things that occur on our campus with our faculty, and student affairs and faculty on our campus actually work really closely together, and we try to do a lot of different programming with them to enhance their ability to do research and work with our students. But with this becomes some heavy things on how do we assess, right? And I heard we heard before from the welcoming presenter about our role in all of this. What do we do as student affairs professionals to kind of create a visibility of what we're doing? And so thinking about assessment, when she talked about all those from 1999 to 2004, I remember those days when we kind of just did things and we said, yep, that's what it was, and now we're asked for real numbers. And so it was one of the things that we were looking at with our institutional goals, with the divisional goals, how are we actually going to assess? So we've been doing lots of different things. So within student affairs, we use CAS. I'm sure many of you use that. In every single one of my departments, I have 7 that report to me. The assessment piece was something that was lacking. Every one of the managers came to me and said, Allison, I don't know what to do. What does this mean? How do we advance moving forward? We would use things, the EBI, we would use the student leadership and diagnostic testing, all that kind of stuff, but how do we actually move forward and be more effective? So here's a couple of things. We heavily looked at online surveys where there's 200 to 300 questions. You probably use SERP for your first year students. When we would administer SERP in the classroom, we would do it during our orientation programs. We would get about a 94% rate in the very beginning. As you look at those questions moving forward, they would continuously decline because students were mandated to sit in a room, fill out something. We would get great questions, response rates in the beginning, but then by the time we actually got to what we needed the responses for, it would be like 33% or so. We moved that to an online base, and we ended up with less than 9% people taking it. So it's a waste of data for us. One of the hats that I wear at Rutgers University Camden is that I'm the Title IX coordinator, and one of the things we did this past year was that we used the iSpeaks campus climate survey specifically around sexual assault and misconduct. Let me tell you the amount. We got a 34%, 29% viability rate with that, but we spent so much money on incentivizing that survey just to get those results and bringing on a part-time program coordinator. We spent way more money than we necessarily needed to. So I'm giving you all this kind of history to say that we've had to move in a different direction to kind of get to where we would need. And so we've partnered with Oohlala to do a couple of different things with our campus app. So on here it talks about adding a shuttle service schedule. So our students, 90% come here to campus. They park about 5 or 6 blocks away. It's fine until it's bad weather, right? So it's okay to walk that time unless it's bad weather, and they want to know where the shuttle is. And so we've designed a little tracker, and that's embedded into the app. So I'm going to show you that kind of stuff. But that's an interesting kind of thing. Again, the current methodology with the email in the paper, again, anytime that you send something out in email, how many times is it going to be read, right? We all get into the rooms, even in our sessions, and we look at our phone because we're going back to the office. What are we doing? But do you think our students are doing that? And do we think that our students are actually looking at the email past the 3rd line? They're not. Okay, so we needed to come up with a different way to sort of handle that. All right. So the Gen Z, you know, we know they're digital, they're on their phones, they want an instant response to things. A lot of the students, especially on our campus when we started talking with the first-year students, they were not accustomed to filling out these very lengthy surveys. It wasn't something that they were asked to do. And if you think about kind of what has been working for them and what they're used to, Uber is a great example, or OpenTable, or even Amazon. Most of our students are using online shopping and they're doing 3, 4 stars. Yep, I got my package, that's it. I love this product. They're not filling out those very lengthy surveys. So what does this mean for us? Looking at how to gather data in real time, okay? How do we meet the students where they are? So if we know that the majority of the students do have some type of mobile device of some sort that they're connecting to, how do we meet them? And get that point of service feedback. So immediately getting feedback from the student perspective on what they did. Did they go to an office and have a great experience? Did they attend an event that they liked? And then from that feedback, actually being able to make some positive changes. So let's get to this part. All right, so again, using Oohlala for our platform and having our own branded campus app was huge for our campus. Our students were able to really kind of give us feedback right away, very simply. It provided a virtual assistant, if you will, so it allowed them to manage their multiple calendars, all of the things that they need to know about being a student at Rutgers University campus. All right, this is just a little shot of let me go back a second. Can I go back? Oh yeah, I did. Sorry. So this is just, one stop for all the students. So we were able to embed all of our, say the websites, all the places that our students would actually go into the app. So if they wanted to see their class schedule, if they wanted to see what time dining hours were open. We have a Starbucks on campus, and one of the greatest things is being able to look at the Starbucks cam, right? So they can pull this up on their phone and know what the length of the line is. You would think this is not a big deal. It is super huge, kind of like that shuttle service that we put on there. But also really exciting was the fact that they were able to connect with each other. And so one of the things that we found on our campus was that they were able to start connecting digitally on our platform. They were able to ask each other questions about, oh, I heard this at orientation, what did they really mean? I have this to do, can you help me out? Is anyone else in this class? Those types of things. And the app really allowed for those conversations to happen, and it actually allowed for us as professionals to step back and allow the students to help each other. And that was one of probably the most rewarding experiences about pushing this out this past fall, was really to have that connection, because we weren't sure if you hope, right, that you hope that the students engage in that way, and that they utilize the platform that you're given, and you're not sure. And when they started to do it and they started to connect in the volume that, and I'll show you in a second, it really meant a lot to everyone that worked on this project. So here's some statistics for you. And this is coming from a place where I couldn't have told you 5 years ago how many times a student actually talked to each other, how many times that they maybe have asked questions of one another. There was nothing we were able to track in that form. But if you look for our population of students, about 7,000 on our campus, having 570,000 app activities is huge. It's huge for us, right? And again, asking those questions and having the students respond to one another, they were getting their answers very quickly. And sometimes it was happening after office hours when they wouldn't necessarily have to wait to the next day or so normally. So through the app, we were also able to get a lot of feedback. And so not only providing the platform for them to receive information, the students were able to also provide us information. And it's both the qualitative and the quantitative information that we were getting. And this is just sort of an example of what this looks like. And so at every one of the events, we would create the event online, it would be publicized, and there would be a QR code associated with that. And the student would take a picture of the QR code when they got into the location. And that was able to track the students' attendance at different events. And we were also able to push notifications out, reminders, that kind of thing. All right. So after the student checks in, we then send them a thing about rate your experience. So just again, think of Uber or Amazon or OpenTable as a couple different stars. What was your personal experience here? And so the students would be able to do that within about 5 minutes of leaving the event. So at the end of the time, the app automatically did that. So talk about a relief in assessment, right? When you have all these ideas of how do you tell or report to your funders, your executive teams about what's going on, you have real life information right away, real time. And then through the app, there's an assessment dashboard that actually allowed us to track kind of what's going on, what was the student saying, how do we improve. And that's the other thing that I like about this platform is that it allows you to make improvements on the go. So you know that there are things in student affairs that you can't plan for, right? Yeah, okay. And you know that things come up and you have to kind of change your programming around that. So it might be in housing, you might need to change something, or in student activities or Greek life. This is a way to monitor if you're doing the correct programming for the students that you have. And it can really make those adjustments instead of waiting to the end of the semester or the academic year to actually get that huge binder of stuff and walk through and be like, oh, I wish we would have had the time to change this. You can make those changes right away. All right. Students can also kind of view what they've been doing on campus. So if you have student success coaches or advisors that are working with the students, they can simply say, hey, what have you been doing on campus, right? We want every student to be engaged outside the classroom. This is a way to sort of monitor that. Okay. And this just shows sort of the total engagements for So we held, this is just one example of the many different events that we use, but we held a kickoff event. 73 students checked in, 35 received email, and 38 received the app survey. And you can see at the bottom, again, the differential between getting that email and how many folks actually responded to how many responded versus on the app. Pretty significant, huh? Okay. So then you can say, hey, 97% of the students that took this, right? We can get into all those figures. It was very easy to drill down and say, yep, the money that we're putting to these programs actually means something. All right. Average response rate was 95% for some of our programs that we held. We did everything from social events, academic events. We send out information about university policies through here now. So we're doing multiple different ways, obviously, but there's a lot of benefits to pushing out the information through the app. All right, and just some user feedback. So this is what it would look like from the student perspective. So out of 5 stars, they gave 4, and the good advice, especially like the portion on group projects, right? So this was about working together in teams and study skills. Another one, so this was a welcome party type thing, and so they gave it 5 stars. Yay for us, right? All right. So a few lessons learned from our perspective, and let me say that there was an implementation team of about 4 of us that worked on this, and we had to go out to all of the departments to say, this is what we want to do. And so we started obviously in student affairs, where it's really easy to kind of nudge our colleagues to do things. But then we had to go out to academic affairs and to some other folks. And the more times that we made it easy for everyone, the likelihood that they were going to say, yeah, no problem. And so if we told them we'd be able to track how many students would be engaged in your programs, that we offered a lot of opportunities for your department to be prominent on the app, the feedback was positive. So that was very helpful to us. And then we were also able to say, yep, we're going to connect you to different resource practice, and what does that mean? And get everyone on the same page as far as definitions and dialogue and all that kind of thing. Most of the folks that were with us from the very beginning were very excited about the real-time feedback. And that was something that, again, was a surprise to us. But again, the reason why they were so excited was because they knew that they could change if something wasn't working. So for our next kind of go through with this, so for next fall, we're going to be using single sign-on. That will allow for us to track students individually for that individual working relationship that they have with their success coach and their academic advisors, and so to have that conversation. But also we're going to be doing a lot more with our faculty members and the academic offices. And so on our campus with our grant funding and things like this, we have to have so many visits and give some annual reports. This data is actually going to be helpful for the directors in responding to those requests at the end of the academic year. So we're excited about that. Okay? So thank you so much for letting me share our little snippet and experience with the app. It's been fabulous. I definitely know that we're going to have some time for questions afterwards, but I do want to bring up Youngstown State University, and we're going to do a little change real quick with the mic.
Okay, I'm Becky Varian. I'm from Youngstown State University. Anybody know where that is? Yay. Ohio. We're from Ohio. Any Buckeyes in here? Any other fellow Buckeyes? Go Ohio State. No. Go Youngstown State. I am a Buckeye fan too. I'm the director of the Learning Center on campus. So we have supplemental instruction. Anybody else in here have SI at your campus? Okay, that's one of the services that we offer that we implemented this assessment with. We also, under our umbrella, have disability services. We have academic coaching. Anybody else have academic coaching at their universities? Yes, that makes me so excited. And we have tutoring one-on-one, and we do some group tutoring as well at our Learning Center. We are, I'd say, a mid-sized university, almost 13,000 students. We're pretty small to walk across, I think. I can be just about to any building in 10 minutes. We were founded in 1908, so we're not young anymore. We're getting old. We have 26 departments that are going to be onboarded on our app here real soon. I'm really excited about that because we started with 2 departments 2 years ago. So I asked a coworker, would you be interested in joining me in this endeavor 2 years ago? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. And now it's going campus wide. I've got, even the president is interested in it. So it's been very successful on our campus. What we've been looking at is some learning outcomes, student satisfaction. We've done NESI, of course, through our assessment office. We do exit surveys through our registrar's office. Everybody does email surveys. Please do our survey, right? You know, we'll give you a $50 gift card from the bookstore if the controller's office allows us to do it. Oh, you guys get that problem too? Paper sign-in sheet if you come to our event. We used to do that with SI, attendance sheets. Anybody have that problem? Oh my gosh. I have an assistant director that runs that program. She's like, please, can we get swipe cards? We do not have swipe cards. Some departments do, we do not. Sometimes we do head counts, how many people are at this event, sometimes paper surveys. So it's all over the place at YSU right now. We do have this problem. definitely. Fragmented data. It's very time consuming. Fortunately, we do have some admin assistance, but we have low response rates overall, and it's certainly decentralized, and the admin cost and the wear and tear on our administrative assistants, you see the looks on their faces at the end of the semester, you know how exhausted they can be from staring at Excel for hours and hours and hours. So it's really been a welcome change this semester and looking at this new initiative that we've been trying this semester, and it's been fun and exciting, and we're trying to centralize and unify what we're doing with assessment. It's been a way to increase the student response rates and actually reduce the staff hours. What they're doing, my secretary said to me the other day, she's like, I don't have to use Excel to do this. And I said, it's very minimal. I mean, it's already in Excel. All we have to do is download it from the site. You don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to enter anything in there. She's like, I love Oohlala. I'm like, I know, I do too. It's already in there for us. We did the initial launch in 2015. Like I said, I had gone to a colleague and asked her to share the cost with me. Things were a little hairy. We had a president stay for 3 years. Then we had a new one hired. He stayed for 6 months. Then we hired another president. And he had mentioned that he had started an app at the school he was at previously, and I'm like, oh, that would be a good idea to bring that here then. That's kind of what got the idea. And to be perfectly honest, I was in a new position and I didn't have a lot of time to do it, and as was the person I asked. She was a new director as well. We didn't do a whole lot. Everything was pretty much done for us and in place. We didn't do a whole lot to start it. They came in and fixed everything up for us. It wasn't until, I'd say last year, that we started really getting super active with the app and the assessment piece. But what we really wanted to do, I asked somebody from the student activities piece to go in. I'm from academic support, so I thought if we combine academic support with student activities, the students are getting, different sides of the house. That would be a good combination. So we did that. So we wanted to promote services and then increase usage in both sides of the house, so those students could access both things, and then also that platform to communicate with students. They have that campus wall they write on, and we also write on the campus wall to promote events. SI sessions, we'll write on there. We have an SI session. Sometimes like at the end of the semester, right before finals week, I saw a student put up on the wall, I can't figure out this math problem. And then I saw another student help her with the math problem. And then I went to my colleague, I'm like, look at this, they're helping each other with math problems on the app. I was like, anybody else in here in academic support, you'll get excited too. I mean, I just thought that was the best thing ever. I was just so excited about that. And then I called, we don't do math tutoring in our learning center. I called the director of the MAC, the Math Assistant Center. I'm like, Lance, check this out. They're helping each other with math. He got excited too. So they do all kinds of things on the campus wall, not just talk about, where they're going or where the party is. They help each other out too. 84% of our students said they would recommend the app to their peers. And that was without us doing a whole lot ourselves on the app. I thought that was pretty good. When we decided to go with this service check-in feature, like I said, we didn't have the swipe cards. We were having students sign in using those attendance sheets. We went to this, if you have your phone, if you could go in as a guest, but they would bring their phones with them. They would download the app. They open up the app and there's a little scan, and they would tap that scan, come to the session. The SI leader had that QRC code, and they would just go like that. And they were scanned into the session when they walked in. There was no signing in, bringing the attendance sheets back to the CSP, our admin assistant typing in, this person came. There was none of that anymore. It was scanning in, downloading from the app. So they would come in and do that for supplemental instruction. We started that in January, and they would get a pop-up the next time they opened their app, and it was said, rate this session. How did it go? 5-star rating. And then they would get an open-ended question. What did you learn in your session today? And they would answer the question. They didn't have to answer the question. Some of them would, some of them wouldn't. So the SI leader themselves was getting the feedback, and we could see it too. So we're getting that engagement, that assessment in one place for all the SI leaders. We had 25 of them. It was really giving students a chance to voice their experience about that SI leader and their service, our service that we offered. So we liked that a lot. We launched those 2 services. So first we started with SI, and we had such great success with that. 4,647 students swiped in to our services. 74% of them responded to those surveys. 80% of the students provided feedback. Now there's 2 ways they can give feedback. If they swipe in, 76% of those students responded when they got the pop-up to respond. The other way, some of them said, if they don't have a smartphone, we are a commuter college, we have a lot of first-gen students, maybe they don't have a smartphone, they couldn't download the app. So then they have the manual check-in, which means they either signed in, or we would have an iPad there and they would log in using their email. So then they get in right to their email. It says, would you fill out this brief survey and rate? Only 20% would do that. So it's definitely better if we could get them to download the app. Much better response rates there. The SI leader has their own dashboard that they can see, which this ended up being a curious thing. So Tiffany could go in and see, and this kind of caused excitement. Tiffany could say, look at my ratings. Every day the SI leaders are going in after their sessions and checking their ratings. I got 4.5 stars today. Oh, look what she said about me today. So the comments became really important too. Like this comment said, I had the best time ever. Tiffany is absolutely wonderful, and I'm so thankful to have had her as my SI leader. How do you think that made Tiffany feel? The SI leaders were paid minimum wage. I got them a raise up to $10 an hour next year, so I'm really excited about that. But these students really do it because they want to help other students. So seeing these comments was really motivational to the SI leaders. It was a great thing to have them to have that access, and that was real-time access. So as soon as that happened, they're going in and looking at their comments. Also, the SI leaders would get emails that would show them, okay, here's the results this week from your SI sessions. Here's the feedback that you got for the week. So they wouldn't get this like per student, here's a report that you got for the week. It went so well with the SI leaders, we started it with our academic coaches. So I have 3 full-time academic coaches, and I have 6 graduate assistants that also do academic coaching. They meet one-on-one weekly with students. We have a conditional admit program, which are students that we admit to the university that had ACT scores under 17 or potentially a high school GPA under 2.0. So we admit them conditionally, and then we work with them one-on-one. We do believe that students can be successful in college. We try not to let that score define who they are, but we just want to work with them closely and show them how to be successful in college. So we work with them on growth mindset, and then on study strategies, metacognition, in those weekly sessions, and we started doing the service check-in with them. They did the swipe-ins just with it like they did with the SI leaders. They started doing that and getting the feedback as well. So every week the student would come in, they would swipe in, they would get the same thing. They'd get a chance to rate their academic coach, and then they would get a question. What did you learn from your session with your academic coach this week? I was telling my rep that I had a new academic coach that I'd hired in October, and her students commented more than anybody else's. And this was one of the comments. She said, "My session was very informative. We went over very different learning methods, memory aids, and types of memory. Went over how to process information and how that can help in my class." It was very specific. So I was like, okay, she's really doing her thing here. Gave her 5 stars. The coaches had the same reaction. Even so not just the student staff, but my full-time staff was excited to look at their ratings as well. And then one of my staff, who's been there for years, she said to me, "One of my students gave me a 3-star. I wonder why I only got a 3-star. I'm like, ask her when she comes back next week. And it was funny because it was an international student from France. So when the student came back the next week, she's like, "Why did I only get a 3-star? And she's like, "That's just how I rate. You're good at your job." It was like, I just don't give 5 stars, kind of was her reaction. But they also had some talks about, like, what do you really want to do when I'm with you? So it did inspire some more discussion about what she wanted from the session too. So some insights that we gathered from the comments especially, it did act as a motivator for the coaches to do a better job. They looked at the ratings, they looked at the comments, and they took them to heart. They didn't ignore them. They were excited to look at them actually. So they were using them to self-assess, and they were also using them to go back in and have conversations with those students that they were meeting with. That happened with the SI leader too. One of the SI leaders got a rather negative comment from a student, and the comment that she got was a comment that her boss was trying to tell her, "This is an area that I'd like to see improvement in." And when the student made a comment, it was about the same area her boss had been trying to work with her. And once they sat down, and the SI leader was a little emotional, and they sat down, and she's like, "This is really a time, an area I've been trying to express to you. I want you to grow in. Don't take this like you're a horrible person, but this is an area for you to grow in. Now I want you to try X, Y, and Z." She went in the next session. She did exactly what they had talked about. The same student wrote her name down and rated her 5 and said, "Thank you so much. That strategy really helped me." Totally turned it around. So the SI leader was fine. So it turned out good, but the comments, I don't think it wasn't hateful, it was constructive, but sometimes you need to hear those things. The next step where we're heading now, I think I mentioned a little bit at the beginning that we have widespread interest across our campus. Phase 1 that we're moving into, these are all the departments now that are going to onboard. The Center for Student Progress is us, and we're already on, but all these other departments are coming on this summer. We're working to onboard these departments. And then phase 2 is going to happen probably during fall semester. We're bringing them on as well. So they're going to all be using the service check-in feature, the scan-in, and then getting the feedback. It really gives students that opportunity to rate our services, as well as for us to use who's coming to our services, who's using our services. That real-time intervention that I just mentioned and that engagement, everything's all in one place for us. We can go and look at our dashboard and see what's going on. So these are just kind of a wrap it up. These lessons that we're learning, that staff are really motivated by the performance and the feedback that we're getting by our students. Placing the students at the center, like we heard during that keynote session. Centralizing that data really does save us a lot of time down the line. And then personalizing the assessment, it's important for all of us, for administration, for the staff, and for the students. Our students really like being in the control of that star rating. I think it's empowering to them to be able to rate us. Just like they can give the faculty their evaluation, they can do it for us too. Our next step is, what are our learning outcomes? Let's look at the data we collected on our coaches and on those SI sessions, and let's create our learning outcomes for next year based on that data that we've collected. Thank you. And I think now we're going to take some questions if anybody has any for me or anybody.
How expensive is this product?
I think you can answer that one. It really depends. We have a couple people that will be standing at the entrance, and you can get more information anytime afterwards.
So customer satisfaction is nice, right? Students won't use our services if they're having an unpleasant experience. So that's positive information, but that's not really like meaningful assessment of learning. So can you talk about what kind of assessments of learning you've been able to do, either one of you with this tool?
Yep, so through the questions that we actually asked from the students, yes, they rated the event that they went to, but then there was a follow-up on, what it could have been very specific based on our learning objectives for the office that was doing. So that it did happen, and then that shows up on the dashboard, so we're able to collect all those things to kind of make a, academic semesterly report, actually. So it is, I know that on the peripheral, it will sound like a customer service, but it does dive deeper. Now you have to do a little bit more work, and it can't just be you're asking for the 5-star. You have to put those other questions in there. And the other thing that you could do is actually send something out specific to the students that attended your event, and ask them some of those questions. And with other assessments, it's like you have to send it to every student, right? And you're asking, and this is just for that cohort that attended, so it does give you some better data.
And for our academic coaching program, one of the things that we're working on, we just started the past year, was, I don't know if you're familiar with Carol Dweck's mindset work, but we've started incorporating her work into our coaching sessions. It's a motivational tool. So this next year, we're refining that work, and each week we have mindset piece that we incorporate into each session. So we can change the question that we ask on the app each week, and so that question that we ask will be specifically about the mindset piece for the fall semester. We just started this assessment piece this spring semester, so we'll refine that for fall semester.
What's the timeline from prepping it to rolling it out?
Typically it could take about 6 weeks to 2 months, but it can be really flexible, but it can roll it very quickly.
So I would say from when we decided that we were going to do when we decided that we were going to do it, we got, and ours is a little different. When you're using 2 offices, we were doing a campus-wide. So I had to have it was a lot of institutional buy-in on our end first. So I felt like you all were waiting on us a lot of the time, and you have to get all your material together and your sign-offs and all that. So depending on how quickly your institution can move, that will depend on your start time. But let me say that, and I should have done a disclaimer, I don't work for them. I'm here because I think it's a great product and it's helped us. The materials that they've given us in the very beginning was so thought out, it was easy for us to follow what they needed. And so as long as you're getting your stuff on your end and you pass it along, and there's a lot of check-in. And I'm going to tell a real funny story, right? So again, I'm putting my Title IX hat on, and I'm also about judicial affairs, and I'm thinking about, okay, we're opening this campus wall. It's Rutgers property. What is council's office going? You know where I'm going with this, right? Think about all those words and what happens with Kristen. Oh, just trust us. And I'm like, no, but in a 20-year career, no thank you. I'm not just going to trust you. But we did, and thank God. Hopefully this is what we didn't really have an issue. Right, and so there's things that they've done to kind of make sure that the behind-the-scenes stuff is protecting us as well. So.
And that's what I'm saying. Is there any oversight of things that you are asking about, or do you have to get them approved in terms of your assessment and assessment coordinators? So you have to go through first, and then once you put this,
Sure.
You participated, but the specific questions that you're asking.
So we have institutional research on our campus, and I had a question and a little dialogue with our director at the very beginning to make sure that they would be okay with all this, how we were going to move down. And he's actually been quite excited about the information that we're getting through the app.
So yeah, and again, it's how each of your institutions are going to be, and you have to have those conversations. Have them early and continuous, yeah. The dashboard also downloads a, I'm trying to think of the name of what that is, that monthly stat report.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have an efficacy report from the app, so
Yeah,
for us, the efficacy is huge. We don't want to just put an app. It's so important to measure actually what is happening on the app and at your campus.
and then you can kind of, we use that as a check-in, so at every divisional meeting and executive team meeting, I would kind of send that around prior. So everybody on our campus knew what was going on. Again, they were getting excited about stuff, yeah. Other questions? Okay.
We have another session on Saturday, which talks more about retention. So basically, all this work is how can we move all this data and how can we connect it to retention. So what's interesting is that, and also identify what key areas are effective for us to retain students. We have, for example, Oglethorpe that they're able to assess and establish engagement benchmarks based on retention. So that's something that might be also interesting to look at. And that is on Saturday at 9:15.
Yes, at 9:30, it's called Identifying Student Success Pathways for Our Classroom.
Well, thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of the conference.